Hey guys, good evening. Here it is, John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur, and welcome to Inspirations for Your Life. First, a very big shout out and a thank you to all of you, because, ladies and gentlemen, we are right now. I want to give you the correct number because we are growing. Right now, it's going to take a second just to refresh because I do want to give you. I want to give you the most accurate number as of like a couple seconds ago. Well, while I'm waiting for that number to populate, I do want to thank you, whether you're here at 6:40 at night, 6:40 in the morning, 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 12 noon, or maybe even 12 midnight. Thank you so very much for being here. We are at 139,100 downloads and a couple thousand yesterday. So really great to have you here. Thank you so very, very much for making Inspirations for Your Life a daily part of your motivational diet here. Just fixing my hair. Sometimes over the hat, when I grab my hat, it pulls down a little bit. So anyway, I do want to thank you for doing that. Still kind of have a little. Okay, that's better. You don't see it till you're actually on camera, unfortunately. All right, so that should be okay. That's better. Anyway, I do want to thank you for being here, and do scan the QR code. You can go to believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. And once you do that, I'd love you to go to TikTok and go ahead and definitely follow me so that we can get up to a few thousand views, followers, I should say, and then we'll be able to stream live to TikTok as well. All right. So our topic, we start on Saturday, we roll through the week, and we finish up today on a Friday. So our master topic of the week is understand the keys to your journey. And tonight's, let's call it the topic for the night, based on the weekly master topic, is understanding. It's basically embracing the entrepreneurial grit. Series 3, show 3, episode number 7. And now this is something that's not for the faint of heart. I'm gonna warn you here. You might think that I'm just gonna be talking about all the great stuff. Well, you've got to have a thick stomach for tonight. I've got to say that, because what I'm going to say tonight, it's not anything bad, but it's something that some people may not be prepared for. All right. So, but before I do that, I want to let you know who I am. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and I am a podcast host and a podcast coach and a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and, of course, more profitable. All right, guys. And I typically do work with companies that bring in 10 million or more. And they either know the story or they want me to figure out what that story is. So first thing I want to talk about is the pain along the journey. So unfortunately, in business as an entrepreneur or a serial entrepreneur, when you get passionate about what it is that you want to do in your business, there's pain. Because when you're passionate, people hit raw nerves and real emotions that oftentimes are, what is the fuel for entrepreneurs. I may want to do something a certain way and you may not like that. And sometimes when you give that feedback, it gets done the way that it's personal. And it's not like saying, well, hey, it's not personal. It is personal because of the way they're talking. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. So there's struggles, there's setbacks, and of course, there's tenacity to come over. We're going to talk a lot about that. So, but I want to just make you aware. But the second thing is, you're going to find that many people won't help you. So you can ask this question. So why won't people help you many times? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One reason is just people feel they're more important than everybody else. Okay? They're too selfish, they're cheap, or they're cruel. And the hidden reason might be that maybe they just don't want to see you succeed. And I know that sounds really bad. And today I'm going to share a very personal story, something that happened to me recently. So I'm going to share that with you. And these stories might get a little bit emotional, and I apologize up front for that. But I want you guys to know what's happening. So some people won't help because your passion is a priority. And a lot of people don't like that passion. Okay. But remember that it's very important. Life is short and enjoy the journey. Others might not understand why you're doing something. Others are oftentimes insecure and wishing that they came up with that idea. Okay. Believe it so. Just like Henry Ford said, if you believe you can't, you're right. If you believe you can, you're also right. And remember, you can do whatever you want with or without someone else's support. There's always going to be someone to support you, but it might not be when you need it. So just hang in there because the ride's not over yet. And you can't please everyone in life. Unfortunately, gentlemen, you can't please everyone in life. So again, there is pain along the journey, and many people won't help. And this is why. So many people will be rude to you. I had a situation. It was actually today. It's a little emotional. I went to a client that I've had for a couple years, an elderly client, and first thing I got when I was in the door, Happy New Year and all that good stuff, and they have a dog, and I always say hello to the dog, and then these words came out of the person's mouth, and I'm going to repeat the words, but I'm not going to repeat the curse words. Person said to me, John, you always make everything so effing complicated and difficult. And that was something that really took me. I'm always very grounded and everything, but I was not expecting that. So the first time I heard it, I just, shrugged it. It was no big deal. I figured they just, weren't feeling so great. But then they said again. They raised their voice. And they said it multiple times to me. John, you always make things so bloody complicated. You always give us more than we need. And I didn't know what to say. I did not know what to say. I was starting to feel bad. And then they said it again. And I had just taken off my coat. And they said to me, John, you always make things so effing complicated. And it wasn't this complicated before you came on the scene. We were better off without you. That, I started to get my tear ducts moist. And I'm always polite. And I said, excuse me, sir. That's not true. I try to make things easy for you. I try to give you documentation. I'm patient. I'm kind. And I try to do the best for you. I think what the issue is you're not looking over any information I give you. You're not taking the tools I give you and practicing them. And you're blaming me because you can't remember things. That's not fair. And he kept saying that words again. You always make things so effing complicated. And the more he said that, the more my tear ducts got less dry. He said again. And then the comments, we were better off without you. Things were easy before you showed up. And that was a hard pill to swallow. Very hard pill to swallow. And I just kept praying to the Lord, saying, Lord, I'm just praying this is going to be over soon. And then he said it again. And I didn't know what to say. But by that time, I was crying. And I was almost getting down on my knees. I was on the floor. Just because I was like, God, you gotta help me. And I'm crying now. Didn't say a word. But just before I went down to the floor, I raised my voice just a little bit, saying, sir, that's not really fair the way you're treating me. He says, well, don't call me sir. I said, sir, I always try to be respectful to you. Well, no, and he gave me some nonsense. And I said, you're not being fair. He said to me, well, life's not fair. And I said to him, you're right. Sometimes it isn't fair. And at that moment, he told me to stop raising my voice and we're yelling, where I only had raised my voice once. I was cursing every third or fourth word to me. And I said, please, sir, please stop yelling at me. Please stop cursing at me. And I said, if you continue to curse at me, I'm going to walk out. And I went down on my knees. And he told me, stop acting like a baby. He said, stop acting like a baby. At that moment, I picked myself up the floor. I tried to dry my eyes out the best I could. And I excused myself to go to the restroom. And I stayed in the restroom for more than a few minutes. And you know what I did when I went in the restroom? I grabbed some tissues. And I just went down to my knees. And I just said, oh God, please. Dear Lord, please. I try to help this man. I try to help their family. I try to do everything I can for them. And I'm being treated like you know what. And I feel so terrible. Person that's always positive all the time. It's like somebody took a dagger and just stuck it in my stomach or below my belt. It was just so painful. I was in there for a good 5 or 10 minutes. And I came out. And he said to me, do you want breakfast? And I said, okay. And he came to me. He said, well, you really should eat breakfast before you come here. And I said to him, as there was a little bit of tear in my eye, if you don't want to give me breakfast, don't give it to me. Don't offer if you don't want to give it. When people come to my house and I invite them over and I offer them lunch or breakfast, I do it because I want to, not because I have to. I would never make people feel bad about it. I never do. I never make people feel bad. And so I said, if you don't want to give me breakfast, then don't give it to me. I don't need it. He gave me breakfast cereal or whatever. And he didn't really say a full apology. He's like, oh, okay, well, let's move on. So now, because I had gone through this tearing for a while, And maybe that hit a chord with him. He's telling me to stop acting like a baby. I was hurt. I wanted to just pick myself up and just walk right out. And so help me, God. If he would have made another curse at me, I would have just walked right out of the door and said, "We're done." And I said to him, he had a few dollars. And I said to him, I said, just because people have a few extra dollars doesn't mean they have the right to make other people feel bad. Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that at all. And then it was kind of like the sun came out and he just kind of changed his mood. And I don't know if he was having a health issue. I don't know. But what I want to tell you is sometimes people can be nasty. I have uh, somebody, I'm not going to give you the name. There's a person, unfortunately, that I know in this organization, and they're terrible. And there's somebody I have to deal with every single month. And thank God I won't be dealing with them because we're moving out where we're located, but they're just so nasty. So I bring this up to you because these are some of the challenges that we people as engineers, and not just engineers, but entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, and business owners face. No one has the right to make you feel bad about yourself. Then why was I feeling so bad? Because he was hitting me with emotional words, and I didn't even have a chance to react. I couldn't cry hard enough. So I tell you this for a couple of reasons. One, if somebody does that to you, you got to set your standards. Okay? Got to set your standards. And if you want to go cry, you go cry. Now, maybe I should have excused myself right away and went to the restroom and cried. But those tears came down so fast, that I didn't even know what was happening. And when I got to the restroom and I took the tissues and I just cried and I just said, "Oh God, dear Lord, please help me. This person's being so unfair to me and so rude and just making me feel like I don't even want to be here." But these times are what helps us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and to rise from the occasion. But sometimes people will be rotten to you. It's not an excuse for you to be rotten to them. When he was talking to me, I said, "Sir," I said, "I know I don't curse." When I just raised my voice a little bit, he started yelling at me. And that's when I said, "Sir, please lower your voice. And if you curse at me one more time, I'm gone." It's not a threat. I meant it. Now, maybe I would have lost a client, but at that point, I didn't really care. I wanted to just get in my car and go. Now, it was a very bad snowstorm, so I wasn't too eager to just get in my car and go. But the way I felt, how useless I was made to feel, I didn't know what to say. And his wife was like, why are you treating John like this? And then I said to him, does it make you feel good to put somebody down? And he didn't answer me. I don't care how much money you have. Don't be rude to anybody. If you don't want something, no thank you. But don't be rude to somebody. Don't put them down. Even if they're not as good as you, don't put them down. Say no thank you, or I'm not interested, or I'm all set. Don't make somebody feel worse than they did. It's rare that I cry on camera. Really rare. I think I cried now, and I think I cried when I talked about my grandfather passing away when I was in second or third grade that Thanksgiving. So I want to let you guys know that many will tell you to stop acting the way you are. Stop being a baby. Stop this. You know why? Because it's starting to attack their emotional system, what they did to you. It's starting to become real that they caused that. It's almost like if you were outside and somebody knocked you down. Usually, they want to reach out to help you up and then get away before you try to sue them. But seriously, when the emotion, let's say, ricochets back, it gives us a feeling. And I just kept asking God, Lord, to please get me through this moment. I knew the moment was going to end, but I just didn't know how long it was going to take. And that took a good 10 or 15 minutes. And the rest of my day was okay, but it was a very, very hard morning for me. Very hard morning. So sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, there is grit being an entrepreneur. There's challenges. There's tears. There's foul words that get said to you from others. Don't allow this to be an example of how you treat people because you figure, well, gee, they do it to me. I can go do it to someone else. No. Anyone can do that. What I do is I raise my voice for one reason, because I want to be at their level and then I want to bring the voice down. That's the only reason I was raising my voice. But when somebody is so set in their ways, it's hard. It's very hard. Maybe you've had a similar situation. It could be with a client. Maybe it was with a friendship. Maybe sometimes people will tell you something that you're no good at this, or I don't like you, or I hate you, or whatever it is. And they do it because they have a personal problem. Or maybe they can't handle the feelings for you if it's a relationship. But it's funny because after that little episode ended, everything was fine. Emotional grit is something you got to be able to have. Like we talked about emotional toughness, right? This is getting into the thick of it. There's pain on the journey. If there wasn't, there wouldn't be success. There's going to be some pain. I don't mean discomfort. I mean pain. Discomfort is what you get when you have a toothache or you have a minor thing like your wisdom teeth. That's discomfort. This is pain. Pain that can be physical or really emotional. My pain today was emotional, but it became physical when my tear ducts started to shed water. And today, ladies and gentlemen, you're the only people I've shared this with. But I thought it was perfect to share with you because entrepreneurs get made fun of a lot because we do something a certain way or because we have a certain high moral ethical standard. And I remember him saying one thing to me before he got me the cereal, before I went into the restroom, before I cried. I remember him saying to me, you got to stop this. And he said, stop acting like a baby. And he says, you got to get yourself together. And then I just said to myself, look, I said, no one ever helps me. No one ever helps me here in this town. John does so much for everyone. When do I get help in this town? There's a lot of places people help me, but in my own town, nobody helps me. They have their hand out all day long, what I can give them, time, but nobody helps me. And it started making me think that the time I volunteer, the time I give, I've got to be more respected. Not because I'm better than anybody, but because I love and care for myself, that I can't allow this abuse to keep continuing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. I know this has been a little emotional of a roller coaster tonight. I hope you'll like, love, and support my channel. Definitely do that, right? Click on the QR code, scan that, or go to the place believemeachieve.com and do follow me on TikTok so we can start getting up to that 1,000+ followers. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and I'm a podcast host and I'm a podcast coach and a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and, of course, being more scalable and thus more profitable. I typically work with companies that bring in 10 million or more, and I love to help people find the truth of their story. So if you feel bad when you're doing something, maybe you need to take a time out. And it's okay for you to actually go somewhere like a restroom or go someone. You don't need to cry in front of people. But it happened so quickly that I didn't even know I was spilling the beans. It happened before I even knew it was happening. I was crying. I'm like, I got to excuse myself. But I got so into that moment that I totally even forgot to excuse myself. I'm like, I got to excuse me. Because when you do that, it causes a reaction. And I didn't want to cause a reaction to the person. All I wanted to do was just to go away and for it to be over. I didn't want the person to feel bad. But maybe that's what had to happen. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys have enjoyed this amazing topic this week, which is understanding the keys to your journey. And let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, journeys in life, they're not always easy. But when they aren't, we learn, we persevere, we grow, and we become a better version of ourselves when we help others become better versions of themselves. Have yourself an amazing rest of your night, and I'll catch you tomorrow, all right? Be well.